Hello everyone and welcome to our channel, and today I'll be reading a multi-character questionnaire by me. So let's get into it. Scaramouche. Scaramouche wasn't really the cuddly type, but you've been having a lot of nightmares. And that's why he agreed that maybe you could sleep in his arms tonight. But just tonight, don't expect too much. That's what he tells you, and you're more than fine with that. After all, you knew that all you really needed was to be in his arms to feel okay again, to feel safe and alright. That's all you really wanted, to be with him, for him to hold you through the night, for you to feel the safety and warmth of his arms, and to hear the sound of his own heartbeat as your head rested against his chest. It was something you had wanted, and even being someone like him, he was not too cruel as not to give you that. In fact, when he finds that you have trouble sleeping, and although he's not really used to sleeping with someone, he just holds you tighter and kisses your forehead. You know I'm here, Ryan. Everything will be okay. You trust me, don't you? I do, I don't know. I'm not feeling so good. And that's when he tells you to quiet down, and you're a little bit weirded out by it. But then he begins to retell a story, presumably a very old one because you've never heard it. And slowly, you feel yourself fall asleep to the sound of his voice. Whatever thoughts that were on your mind, completely vanishing and melting away. Xiao, Xiao was really nice to you, kind. And that's why when I saw that you were exhausted and overworking yourself as the day went by, he couldn't take it. The sight of you, cleaning, and doing your own job as well, it wasn't something you wanted to see, especially since it felt like you were going from one thing to another. And though he could help you clean, he had come home exhausted, and he didn't want you to spend the time that you had cleaning when you could spend it together. And whatever cleaning that had to be done later on, he would take care of, just when you felt better, and mostly recharged and spend some time with you. It was mutually beneficial. Otherwise, you would have felt guilty. Because then, he tells you to sit on his lap. And though you try to resist, he gives you a look. And you find yourself doing as he wants anyway. While he slowly wraps his arms around you, kissing your cheek. You work yourself too hard, Ryan. I I don't suppose so, you say. But immediately he shakes his head, and you can't help but chuckle the way he's so convinced that you do work insanely hard. You cannot argue with him, especially not when he was being the stubborn. So, you don't. Instead, you let yourself melt against him, closing your eyes and letting out a soft sigh. And before you know it, your eyes are already getting droopy, and your mind slowly travels away to dreamland. Much to his pleasure, because it meant that he was very right about what he said. Venti. Venti was cuddly sometimes, but that didn't mean all times. And you never really expected for him to give you cuddles when you needed it. After all, he wasn't the very first person that you would think of when thinking of emotional and physical intimacy. No matter how kind you could be, you still had some difficulties in that department. So, you never really expected for him to offer that when you were in a bad mood. Come on, my aunt. Just sit next to me. We'll cuddle. You weirded out upon hearing those words from his mouth, tilting your head. You? Venti? Are you sure about that? And he nods determinedly. And you can't help but nod. sighing and just deciding to give in. After all, what could you really lose? Absolutely nothing. That's what. And that's why it's so easy to go into his arms and close your eyes, letting out a sigh of content that you can't help but smile at. So much for someone who was trying to resist. He teases, and you elbow him lightly, making him go instantly quiet, if only just chuckling lightly. And you stay there, and he assures arms. There wasn't much that needed to be said or done. Just you cuddling. That was it. And was more comfortable than anything else, if Venti were to be honest. And as he tried to talk to you about something else, he had soon discovered that you had indeed fallen asleep in his arms. Tighnari? Tighnari is very gentle with you. And that's why, sometimes, it wants nothing more than to hold you and cherish you for who you are. How wonderful you could be. How sweet your heart was. Don't blame him. He's just so utterly in love. And that's why he wants to spoil you at any given opportunity. So suddenly, as you were working, you felt his arms wrap around your middle. And before you could even utter a word in complaint, he had helped you up, carrying you all the way to the couch and putting you on his lap. His arms wrapped around you tightly. You have been working really hard, Ryan, and now you need to rest. Tighnari, I barely did anything. I was just... No buts. Come on. You need to rest for a couple minutes. Just 20 minutes and you can go back to whatever you were doing, he says. And once you move to just try and say something again, he goes in for a soft kiss, a peck on your lips, and that instantly quiets you down. He finds himself chuckling at how adorable you can be like that. And slowly, you begin to settle in his arms, wrapping your arms around him while he stroked your hair gently, humming a melody that he was familiar with, one that you would hear him hum sometimes when cleaning or writing. It was so comforting, being in his arms, resting, even though you resisted it, but you knew you needed it so much, and hearing that soft voice of his. And all of that combined slowly lulled you into sleep. And perhaps that was Tighnari's goal in the very end. He would never know.